Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 11 of Dead Buddy for season 2. I am Dan Arfin, the host, as always, and forever. Been a busy week at the recording studios. Just promised so many hand histories to talk about these last few weeks that I've just fallen behind on getting to. But I'm going to finish off what's gone on these last couple weeks. I haven't played the last few days since I got smoked in the last session I talked about. So anyway, we're going to turn back the clock and get started. So this first hand, I just joined the table and I opened pocket nines in early position to 20. There's a young Asian reg to my left. He 3-bets to 60. And there's a cold call from the button who looks pretty fishy, and I call. So we got 180 in there, and then the flop comes 9 deuce 5. Hello, 2 clubs. Top set, here we go. I check, the 3-better bets 85, and I check raise, not huge. I only go to 235. He calls, so the pot's up to 590. Turn is not a complete brick, but most likely a brick. I mean, it's a 3, so ace 4 is now a wheel. I bet 255 into 590. Still not going too massive here. I mean, this is a very strong line. I mean, of course, I'm only repping sets, but I can have those sets. And, you just don't want to bet too much now to cost you the big bet later, or even bet too much now to get called now. So I just felt like if I bet a little on the not huge side, he's more likely to call, or maybe he raises if he's thinking it's that late. I think there's plenty of times and places you can get away with going bigger, but I just didn't want to this time. And he calls, brings the pot up to 1100, and I fill up on the river with a 5, so now my value range is even narrower, because now there's only one combo of pocket 5s instead of 3. So, the spot looks like it has jam written all over it, because it would be probably under pot, maybe close to pot, because I was 1500 when the hand started, or thereabouts. I settled on 735. And this kid tanked, and he tanked, and he tanked. Oh, God, it's one of the longest tanks I ever seen. But he called. And I must say, I was quite satisfied with this result, because I don't think I get any more satisfaction than from beating these young Asian regs trying to make it as pros, which I don't know if this guy's doing, but he certainly looks the part of someone who is. Now, why do I enjoy beating these guys the most? I mean, I'm not sure. I think it's just I went through a phase for maybe a year at least, maybe a couple of years, where the young Asian regs who are not locals to Vegas, they're just coming for a little bit, they can play a little bit. None of these guys would ever fold to me. None of them. I would get hero called by the dumbest hands, but in the dumbest spots over and over and over again. It's just like they have the thought, oh, well, this guy might be aggressive, so now I get to call with every hand in every spot with no exceptions. Oh, okay, sounds like a foolproof strategy. And after losing some bluffs to them and also getting value in some other spots, it's just like, all I want to do is fucking crush these guys. It's not personal, and I think it was just random. I don't think just the culture of young Asian men who play poker, just have it in for Dan Arfin, okay? I think that sometimes you run into players who want to get sticky, and they all happen to fit this description for 5 or 6 times in a row. So I don't know if I cost myself money by not getting a full double up with this hand, but something, when you get flop check raise called and a turn bet and this big bet on the river, can't be too disappointed about it. Then shortly after that, I get pocket kings, I raise to 20, and the fish who I mentioned before in the small, who was the button in the previous hand, he just cold called, didn't do anything. He 3-bets to 125 out of the small blind, and he's got maybe 8 or 900 behind. Something like that. I thought about jamming, but that's stupid. I didn't want to call and feel like I'm just going to overfold the flop, but I felt like, all right, just fucking call. I got queens. What am I doing? I fold queens, so I call. Flop comes, ace queen 10. How you doing? He checks. Thought about checking back, but then I thought he's probably got kings or jacks. I don't think he's folding to a flop bet. So I bet 75 in the 250. He makes it 500, and he's effectively gone all in because he doesn't have that much left. I think he had another 270. Put them all in. He calls. So I turn over my hand, and he says, you win. Then the turn is a king, and he turns over pocket kings, and he says, no, I win. And then the river is nothing. Big suck out. Right after this big pot, I just get fucked right after it. And Didn't lose back all of everything I'd won in the previous hand, but most of it. And, getting up stuck sucks because once you're up, it always feels like this money is yours now. It feels like you couldn't lose it back in the session, even though you clearly can and do sometimes. And I don't think he was trying to be this big dick, but I don't know. I was irked when he said, no, I win after the turn card comes. First of all, I have one out to win, or Jack makes a possible chop. So it's just like, he didn't win. I told him, I was like, you didn't win until after this card. And I pointed to the river. And it's just like, okay, like, you won. It felt a little obnoxious. I don't think it was like that mean-spirited. But no matter what you think, bottom line was I took a pretty ugly suck out in a pretty stupid way. I mean, he gets pocket kings, the flop comes ace, queen, 10, and he makes a check massive overraise and then just calls off, drawing almost dead. I mean, it's just people, they panic and spaz and freak out sometimes when they get a bad flop with one of these big starting hands. It's like, okay, yeah, it's a shitty flop. You can just check and see what happens. I mean, it's like, should he fold to the 75? I mean, it's an annoying spot to be in with kings, and most people don't fold there. But you don't have to just raise, call off. I mean, you're just turning the hand into a bluff. I mean, the guy just didn't want to play the hand. We see people do that. When they decide they don't want to play their hand, they just stick the stack in. It doesn't matter how stupid it is. And it's not like, I'm not saying I haven't done that plenty of times myself. I mean, can't think of any examples right now, but just plenty of times at 2-5 and other stakes, you just get a bad board and you don't know what to do and you're afraid to be put in a tough spot. That's what it's about. You're afraid to be put in a tough spot. So instead, you put your opponent in a really easy spot by giving them a very easy decision. You give them a very easy fold when they're beat, and you give them you give them a gift when they have you crushed. So you love it when that happens, but then this is the result. Not only does he turn a freaking 2-outer to, well, no, not a 2-outer. Not only does he get a 2-outer to turn a set, on top of it, he says, I win, before the river's even been dealt. So later that night after I table changed, because this game seemed very good when I sat down, but it got bad in a hurry. So then I table changed, and then later on I run into the woman that I was talking in depth about with Brent Jenkins a couple episodes ago on episode 8 or 9, I think it is. Whatever it is, Brent Jenkins told a great story about a woman caught going south in the middle of the hand of Venetian and was kicked out of there. And then this woman comes by my table, sits down. I see an old Asian woman in a mask, wearing a hat. Just looks like some sweet old lady until she starts talking to her neighbor, another young Asian man, about what just happened to her at Venetian, how she got kicked out over $100 fell on the floor, and they said she took it off the table, which she clearly did. So Brent tells me a few hours earlier that day that he catches a woman going south in the middle of a hand, tries to steal $100 from him, and now I hear a person telling a story about how they were kicked out of the Venetian, and I'm thinking, well, this sounds a lot like the story Brent just told me, so it seems quite clear that this is the person he's talking about, and now she's just gone next door to my game. But before she gave that information away, keep in mind, I'm going to tell the story now. This hand, I didn't know about this yet. Get into a hand with this lady, where there's an under the gun raise to 15 from a guy who had been quiet, so I flatted pocket nines, and it went 4 ways, and with our thievery friend, who we don't know about yet, in the big blinds. The flop comes 10-9-5, 2 clubs. I got another set of nines, and I got the 9 of clubs as well. Checks to me, I bet 40, and the woman calls from the blind. We go heads up. Turn is a deuce, Brick City. She check calls 115. Pot's up to about 270 now. The river is not a blank. It's the jack of clubs. 3 clubs now. 7-8 made a straight. King-queen made a straight. Now she leads pot 270. And I got a set and a club. An irrelevant club, mind you. Blocking 9-8. Blocking 9-7. King-9. Ace-9. I mean, 9-6. This 9 of clubs is fucking important. But just look at the line. Check, call, lead huge on this card. I mean, it's like, what does she miss with? She just has a dry 6-7, jazz 6-8, just a dry gutter, and just wants to go ham on a card like this. I mean, it's hardly ever, these situations are just never bluffs, so I fold. She looks at her hand and she mucks. Had a lot of money in front of her at the time. I mean, I feel like, given what we know about her now, that this woman goes south in the middle of hands, I feel like she would have shown this hand to show that she was bluffing, so I'm guessing she had it. Then later that night, I stacked her. Talked about that with Brent as well, where I flopped a set of 5s. She had top pair. She check raised, flop, called the 3-bet, and then check shoved the turn with top pair and middle kicker. So got it in drawing dead on the turn for about a 4K pot, and all I had was a set of fives that made quads on the fucking river. This was a woman, quite the little hustler or whatever you want to call her, and just could not take anything from the same player repeating aggression. I mean, I got a couple of hands against her where it was just, you're just betting into her and just takes everything so personally, like a lot of players do. I mean, you notice how many players, as soon as the same player like check raises them twice in like 20 minutes or 3-bets them a couple of times, like they already think that this person is gunning for them, like, and they just are totally misperceiving the situation. Most of the time, the guy's probably not coming after you at all. He just happens to catch a hand against you twice. I mean, people pay attention to the fact that you get hot against certain players. So if players are coming after you all the time, it doesn't mean they're not getting hot. Everybody gets hot. She couldn't take it. What a gift that was. And then I see her the next freaking day. I come back in the afternoon. I mean, this hand where she punted to me, that was a night. I came back in the afternoon and so did she. She wants her money back. She joins the table and the first hand she plays, she raises 20. I 3-bet with king 10 of clubs. She calls. I flop top 2 on a flush draw board. She check raises to like 300, and I just put the stack in. I mean, if she's got it beat, then she's going to win. It was only like another 500 more, I think. I mean, I thought there was a chance she could have some silly bluff, but, I don't know if she's going with it on the turn. There's so many bad turn cards. I mean, it's just, it's not a bad play at all to just 3-bet jam top 2 here. I mean, in fact, I don't even know why I'm talking about it. I think it's standard. She did eventually win one hand against me. She raised, I 3-bet with pocket queens, and I think the flop came like ace 9-3, and she let into me for like half pot, and I called. And the turn was like another 9, so queen 9-3-9. We go check, and the river's like a 6. And then she bet like 150, I think. I don't know. I felt like I was going to lose, but I just felt like I should call her. And she has queen 9 offsuit. Doesn't have an ace. She opened with queen 9 off, got 3-bet by queens, called, flop comes ace 9-3, leads this flop, gets called, checks this turn after turning trips. And my aces, with my flop calling range is going to have a ton of ace-x in it. Checks the 3 9s, and then gets a bet in on the river. So, all right, nice hand. Then she tried to slow roll me. She raised button to 20 over a limp. I 3-bet aces in the big blind. I talked about with Brent as well. She 4-bet, I 5-bet all in. She calls and asks me if I had aces, and she had aces as well, except I turned a flush. I had red aces, flopped hearts, turned a heart. Turn it over. It's like, yeah, I got aces. I got the nuts now, too. And then she shows she had aces. Like, oh, nice try at slow rolling me. Then this wild hand comes up. This, right on cue. Some young Asian reg sitting on my left, but actually might be a little aggressive. He raises to 20 under the gun. He'd been losing a bit, but he was still playing all right. 3 players call. I call it ace-4 of spades in the big blinds. Flop is 10-8-4, 2 spades. And we check to the button, who is a fish, and he bets like 75 or 80. I think he bets 75. And I got bottom pair of the nut flush draw. 10-8-4, 2 spades. Ace-4 of spades. I was a little hesitant to check raise the guy because I don't want to just get piles in against some fish who I'm going to make very few mistakes against post-flop and probably make a lot of good decisions. So it's like I don't want to lose my stack to him every time I brick if he has a big hand. I mean, if he has like top 2 or a set or something. I mean, if he has a flush draw, it's like, yeah, you want to be building the pot up, but if you're going to stack them if the flush hits anyway, either way, so there's that to consider, even though the flush is going to miss most of the time. I mean, I just don't like getting piles in against weak players with these kinds of hands. I used to do it every chance I got, like when I played online all the time as a part-time player. I mean, we're talking like 20 years ago. If I had a 14-outer, I'm getting it in as fast as I could because your equity is never going to be that bad. And you're going to get a lot of folds too, so... But I don't think it's necessary anymore. I just called the 70. And now the under-the-gun raiser, our young Asian fellow, he check raises the flop to, I think, 235 or 250, something like that. The button calls, and I call. Wasn't this huge flop check raise. Turn is a queen, so Jack 9 is now the nuts. We check over to him, and he jams. And his jam was like probably a good 750 or something like that. I mean, it was huge. And the button tank calls. And after thinking about it, I mean, there's no choice. I have to call too. The guy has a flush draw. We know the button has a flush draw. If I can hit this gin card, I can stack him. I will stack him. I'm going to lead jam, and he's not fucking folding. And if I hit a 4, I mean, I might be able to lead jam and get called by some stupid hand there too, and probably stack the other guy. Same thing with an ace comes. I mean, I don't know if an ace. I don't know. I'm not. If I river an ace, I'm not saying I'm going to lead jam, but like I'll probably feel comfortable believing it's the best hand. Quite comfortable when you put the guy in a freaking flush draw on the turn. I mean, probably really hard to get action from the river because he's going to have no incentive to bluff. If he has just a high card, he's not going to think he can beat anybody at showdown. Not going to beat the guy who's all in at showdown. But whatever. Please, let me improve on this river. All I know is this pot was up to at least 3,000 by now. Brick on the river, 7. Check, check. And the button had a flush draw. He turned fucking top pair. He had queen deuce of spades. God, so he finished in second. And our under the gun raiser had 10-8 suited. He had flop top 2. And I had ace 4 of spades closing the action in the big blind. Damn. Now you see what can happen when you squeeze. I'm not saying I had to squeeze this spot. It's a spot I could squeeze. Raise 3 calls. You got ace 4 of spades in the big blind. Take these fucking morons now. I mean, you don't pay rake. You're out of position. You know there's a lot of loose calling ranges in there because this game is really good. Yeah, the guy raised under the gun, but a lot of people open kind of wide under the gun. So it's not as if your fold equity is going to be that low. I mean, it sucks if he jams, but had I bombed 3-bet, I'm just taking it pre. 10-8's going to fold, and the others are going to just fall right in line. So, I mean, look, the 3-bets, they giveth and taketh away, but aggression wins. You know, you want to avoid these kinds of car crash scenarios as much as you can where you just have to put so much money in. I mean, when you're going 4 or 5 ways to the flop routinely, you're going to come into way more situations where both people just got to put piles in and it's not really plusy. Like the EV is just not that great. It's like because you didn't take that big advantage of a mistake, really. It's like the guy probably had a decent hand to get it all in with. So all that's to say is calling big blind is still fine here. It's just don't fall in love with calling. 3-betting is very effective at 2-5. Then I did something I still can't believe. I mean, this Asian reg who I moved seats and put him on my left, I mean, he started 3-betting me kind of frequently. And after a little while, I just started to think maybe it wasn't a big hand every time. But I think by the time I figured that out, it was probably a little too late. Because I finally raised 20 with ace-king, and he 3-bets to 75, and I just called, which is freaking soft. I mean, it's actually, in solver world, correct to just not be 4-betting ace-king off out of position when you're really deep. Solver does, I've been told, likes to flat ace-king off in that spot and just play post. And so, you know, I'm not thinking about a solver, so I don't really care if the solver agreed with me or not. I mean, I think 4-betting here is probably just a good idea. But I didn't. And the flop was king, jack, 6, 2 diamonds. And I got the ace of diamonds. So I check. He bets 50. He bets a third. I call. Turn is a total break. It's a 3. I check. And now he overbets 325. And I folded. I mean, this is a ridiculous fold, okay? It's a ridiculous, ridiculous fold. It's not ridiculous against certain people, actually. Against this guy who's shown that he's willing to be a little bit aggressive, you gotta call one more, all right, before you even consider making a hero fold. And what I was thinking at the time was this. I got the ace of diamonds, so I'm blocking his nut flush draw barrels. I'm blocking his ace queen, his ace tens, any ace x of diamonds that he might want to just overbet the turn with. Of course, even if I don't block any of his ace x of diamonds, it's still a little dangerous to be overbetting that turn because it really sucks if you get jammed on. Because if you get jammed on and you don't get to see the river with that hand, that's a huge disaster. So I don't even know if that's the hand he wants to choose to overbet bluff with. But when he goes 325, I mean, I don't beat his value. This is not king-queen. We know that. We know the value is aces, pocket jacks. You would think ace-king or kings would not be one of picking this size since it blocks so many hands that can call. And I guess I just thought that he was thinking that I have a big hand here because I finally called the 3-bet and I called a flop bet, even though it was a very small flop bet. It's only a third. But I was thinking maybe he thinks my range is really strong here and he's just trying to get everything by starting with this big turn overbet. But I don't think so anymore. I mean, he may have continued to bluff turn and river. He may have just had ace-queen off. Ace-queen, he may have just had ace-queen with no flush draw, where he's got the Broadway jaw, he blocks ace-king, he blocks king queen as well, which might push my flop calling range more towards weaker kings or just jack X, and he may think my range is weak. I think maybe he thought my range was weak, but he thought he was strong. And I don't know if this fold was wrong, but I think it's stupid to be folding. I just think when you have this hand, it's more important you hold on for a little bit and put some money in with it than worry about threading the needle making some kind of crazy hero fold. I mean, I make a lot of hero folds and a lot of them are correct, but you got to pick and choose who to pay off. Now, it's amazing as I'm scrutinizing this decision because what if it was correct? What if he has pocket jacks and just unblocks all the kings and doesn't think I'm folding top pair yet? What if he just thinks that? Or what if he just thinks I have combo draws or something, or that I could have a combo draw and wants to put those hands in a tough spot if he has a big hand? I mean, these things are on the table, but I just think it's just too much to fold that hand. I mean, I started telling myself other stories. You see, when this guy tripled up in the 3K pot, he had like 1,000 when the hand started. He seemed kind of aggressive, but he went to 1,000 and he didn't top up to 1,500. And I feel like these aggressive players, they're going to top up. But I don't know how long he's been there. I don't know what his stop loss is. I don't know any of these things. So when he doesn't want to top up to 1,500, but then he's got over 3K in front of him now I start making myself think, well, maybe he doesn't want to bluff off all this money or start running big bluffs with it because he's up now. He thought he was going to get stuck, or he was stuck, and now he's out of it, And maybe there is some truth to that. Maybe he blasts a turn. If he gets a call on the turn and doesn't get a river he likes, he just gives up. Maybe he just does that. Because once you call the overbet on the turn, alarm bells should be ringing. Gee, maybe he's got a hand. Maybe I shouldn't fire on the river unless I do have it. So this is just too nitty. It's amazed at how many times I've folded this type of hand where I have ace king, catch a king, and fold. Sometimes you got to do it, but I did that once. I folded ace king on a king high board because the under the gun guy limp raised, and we know that's scary. Limp raises under the gun, blast flop, blast turn. I'm like, Jesus, he has it. It's aces or kings or ace king. This is just chopper beats. It's just fuck it. Shows me the 6-7 offsuit. Think maybe he had a straight draw. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So this is just, even if it was a correct fold in the moment, it's still, this is just dangerous. But only he knows. I'll admit though, given that this guy 3-bet me like 5 times in just a couple hours, this is the first time I was ever curious to talk to a player about what he had in certain hands. Because I never say what I have, even when people ask. I always tell them it's a secret. When I was racking up, the game was still good, but I had to get going. I asked him, so did you have it every time, or are you just a maniac? And his answer was like, so he's laughing, some bluffs. So he's saying, he's acting like it was a little of both, and maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Probably a really, really terrible fold with ace king. A couple weeks ago, I was in one of these sessions where it just felt like I was getting owned every single hand, or just unlucky. It was a really good game. We got a fish. He opens 20 against his shadow. I 3-bet ace king off to 100. He calls. The flop comes deuce 4-5, 2 hearts. He had just lost a pot before, like literally the hand before. It wasn't huge, but it seemed like something that could tilt somebody, and I just thought he might get ready to do something really silly or stupid. So 2-4-5, 2 hearts, 200 in the pot. I check call 100. Turn is a queen. I check call 200. River's a jack. Check, check. He has king jack offsuits. And I was calling quite a bit of rivers. I know there's so many bad rivers that I should fold on, but I was just thinking, I feel like this guy just has a lot of air here, and I'm just calling a ton of rivers. So, of course, he checks because he picked up showdown value and doesn't need to bother. Then this hand was a little fun. There's a raise to 25. I call the button with king 10 of diamonds. The small blind calls, and the flop is ace jack 4, 2 diamonds. Got the royal flush draw. The original raiser bets 20. I raise to 80. The small blind calls, and the guy who bet the flop calls. Now we're 3 ways. The turn is the queen of diamonds. Ta-da! Royal flush time. Yes, I have a royale with cheese. 2 cards in my hand. And I've been thinking more lately about when you get these nut-changing turn cards that you can actually get away with betting kind of small. That way you get value from a very wide range of shitty hands that would definitely fold to a bigger bet. And if the guy does have a big hand like a flush, he's going to check raise this bet anyway. So you're going to get stacks in anyway. So there's really not this tremendous need to bet that big on a nut changing card, one that makes a possible flush, even though this one brings a straight flush, just even if it was the seven of diamonds. So they both check call 50, and the river is a blank. And it was funny, as the river was coming, I remember telling to myself, like, you're always thinking of like, please know this, because there's almost always a type of river you don't want to see, whether it's an action killer or you're afraid a card that beat you. As the river was coming, I was about to think, all right, now I just need, oh wait, I have a royal flush. No, I don't have to fade a single thing. It's a nice, comfortable feeling. And now you're hoping the board pairs aces, of course. But the river's a blank, and then one guy, the guy who had bet the flop, he leads 225 on the river. And it's like, oh, what do you guys got on me this time? He leaves 225 until like 465, so it's not really that big of a bet, and he wasn't super deep, but I raised him to 725 and he folds. I mean, I can't imagine what this guy had. It couldn't have been anything good. It didn't seem like a total bluff. Maybe he's just making some really stupid block bet with just a pair of aces. I don't know. Really bad line, though. And I did not show. I did not show my royal flush. I just mucked because I didn't want people to know I had it. It's like, I mean, I've played enough poker and I've made a few royal flushes. I just don't want anyone to know. I just still prefer to keep it a secret. I know it's a crazy, crazy thing to have happen, to see a pure royal flush, a two-card royal flush, but fuck it. Then I got into this pot with this European player who I saw playing 5-10 later in the week, and he seems like he's got a pretty decent skill set. I mean, he might have to learn a number of things about live poker dynamics, but it seems like the guy has a brain. Didn't seem like he was using it that much, though, because he was blasting off a lot of bluffs, but he had cooled down for a little bit, and then there's a straddle. He opens late position, and I 3-bet with pocket tens, and he calls in position. I think I had made it 140. Flop comes queen, jack, 5, and I got tens, and it's like, I just don't know what to do in this spot. I mean, maybe I'm supposed to lead. I don't know. I mean, I can see why I'm supposed to lead, but I checked and called 100. Turn is a 3, check, check, and the river's a 6. I check, and now he overbets. He bets 600. And this guy has already lost multiple big bluffs, and now he's overbetting 6 into 500, and all I got is tens. And, we know it's a very polarized bet. I mean, is he doing this with, can he just have ace queen? I mean, or any queen, king queen? I mean, he's probably thinking that if he does have a queen, it's hard to imagine that I would be able to beat it given the line I've taken. So maybe he can play up his image and try and get called by a jack or by like the hand I have. So I don't know. I mean, I think this is a fold, but it's tough to fold against guys who bluff. I mean, because if people start over bluffing, they just have dumb bluff after dumb bluff after dumb bluff, and some people continue to overthink those situations and fold anyway. And this very well could have been one of them. Then there's a raise to 20 and a call, and I 3-bet to 80 with king queen of clubs. We get a cold call. We go 4 ways, so 320 in the pot, and I'm in position. Flop comes queen 6 deuce rainbow. Checks over to me, and I bet 70, and then the small blind immediately makes it 270. Now, the small blind is this fish who's been running super hot. He has been winning hand after hand after hand after hand, and for the most part, he's nitty, but he does do some silly bluffs from time to time. But this situation, I mean, even though I'm betting small on the flop, it still fucking screams a set of sixes or a set of deuces. My only hope is if he's just making some one-time spaz bluff, which if he does, he will just check the turn. So I very reluctantly call the 270. Pot is up to, I guess, 860 now. And the turn is a great card. It's a 6. So now he has way fewer pocket 6s or 2s. And now he checks. And now I think, oh, maybe it was one of his spaz bluffs because he went after this small flop bet. Maybe he just threw out one of his vomit raises and now it's been called and now he's just going to give up. But just in case he had like ace 3 or ace 4 or something, or I don't know, or maybe he just made some silly overplay with a worse queen, I bet 225. And he jams. Massive jam. And don't think the double check raise in a 3-bet pot is going to result in too many bluffs. So, of course, I fold fast. And then he claimed afterward that he had pocket queens. Not 6s or 2s, pocket queens. So, doesn't Colt 4-bet pre-flop, which I think is fine. But then he gets top set and gets this check raise called on the flop, which is a good raise by him. Because if I can bet this flop, chances are maybe I do have a hand I can call with. I mean, Then he gets this turn card. Then he fills up. And if the turn is like a 7, if the turn is any other card, he's probably just tanking it, especially if the turn makes a possible flush draw. If there's like, there were no suits on the flop, but if there's a flush draw after the turn, if like the 9 of hearts comes, he's going to fucking tank the shit out of that. Even though I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to have turn to flush draw. That's the way he's going to think. Instead, he fills up and gets another little bet out of me. I mean, I wanted to fold the flop. I really wanted to fold the flop. I think my flop call was probably a bigger mistake than my turn bet as played. But fuck. This is an example of what I'm talking about, where it just felt like all day long, everybody just knows exactly what to do.
Then I got into another hand with the Euro who I had folded the pocket tens to. We were getting short-handed.
And I raised to 20 with king queen off. He 3-bets the big blind to 85. He hadn't done much 3-betting, but I called. Flop is ace 10 7, 2 clubs. I have the queen of clubs. He bets 60. I call. Planning to run a big bluff against this guy if I get a good card. Turn is a 7. It's pairs of 7. It's not a card I want to be bluffing too big on against this type of player. He thinks about it, though, and we go check, check. River's a 6, and then he bets really big. That was strange. I mean, what am I going to do, though? I mean, I got nut no pair. I do have the nut no pair. But what in the world is he betting this big with? I mean, he can 3-bet 8-9, but like, I don't know. I was confused by this too. But my hand is not one you should be ashamed to be folding. Then another hand I played with this guy, it was a straddle on. I think we were straddling every hand. He opens to 30. I 3-bet ace king out of the blinds to 140. He calls. The flop comes 8 7 7 2 diamonds. Check, check. Turn is a king. I check again, and I don't think I had a diamond. And then the river is a king as well. So now I got top full here because there's kings and sevens on the board. The flush came in as well, for what that's worth. I bet 70, bet a quarter pot, and he called with ace queen high. So, I don't really know the expert way to play these spots versus players who can think and are deep. And this is also a straddle hand. I mean, on this 8 7 7 2 diamond flop, I got ace king. Am I supposed to bet? Am I supposed to bet? I mean, I'll bet you he would have called. So whether I'm supposed to bet or not, I don't think he would have folded ace queen off to a small bet. And then when that turn comes, I mean, I guess if I bet again, he's getting pretty thin to be calling again. But you could see why he might want to. So, I don't know. That was the line I took. And as you can see, it's like when I play against players who are actually capable of playing well, I have a completely far less of an idea of how to proceed. And that's not even a knock on myself. I mean, it's just what happens when you play against higher level thinking players. The decisions are not as clear. You're going to make the quote unquote incorrect decision far more often, so your edge is a lot smaller. But it's okay if your edge is smaller, because if the game is bigger, you're still taking a lot of money from the table, even if you have to do so at a higher fluctuation. So then another Euro joined the game, this Italian guy, and he had been playing very tight. It didn't seem like he would always play tight, but to that point he had been. I mean, who knows? Maybe he's just card dead. So it was his straddle. I raised to 40 with queen eight of clubs. He calls, and the flop is 10 4 5 2 diamonds. So I totally whiff. I check and he checks, and he's already seen this ace king hand where I've 3-bet pre and turned a king and checked, and then got a river and bet small. So he's seen me taking this line before where I might play a strong hand a little tricky out of position. So anyway, 10 4 5 2 diamonds, check on the flop, turns another 10, and I bet 35, expecting him to call with ace high because I'm planning to go huge on the river. And I actually almost bet really big on the turn. I almost bet I don't know, maybe 2.5x pot to rep some trap. I mean, see if he wants to call a huge bet with ace high on the turn, not knowing what's coming on the river, if anything. But he calls, and then the river really fucks up this plan big time because it was a 5, which means if he has a pair of 5s, then I can see him checking a 5 on the flop and calling with a 5 on the turn. If he has that, he's going to be calling with it quite a bit. I mean, I think it's very unlikely he has a 10, but if he has a 5, I think he's just going to make me show it to him. And it's going to make his ace highs want to call a lot more often too. So I just felt like I can't go as big. But maybe I can, if I get a live read on the guy, or at least try to, if I throw him a glance and think this guy still doesn't want me to bet really big because he just has ace high. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I made the right bet size here. I'm just saying that this 5 on the river totally fucked up my plan. I mean, if the river's a 3, If the river's a blank, if it's a 9 or something, I mean, I'm going to pile. Like, I'm going to not go all in, but I'm going to make a fucking huge bet. Now I'm going to rep the trap. And then now it feels like it's just too hard to rep a trap. So I still bet. So, like, kind of rep a little trap. I mean, I bet 215. I still overbet the pot, but not by very much. Or no, I think I bet 315. Yeah, I bet 315, not 215. And he tanks and he tanks and he tanks and he tanks and he calls with fucking ace high. I mean, it's a good call. He had ace 9 off. It's a good call against me. I'm just saying that, fuck me, this river just totally threw a wrench into my thinking. But look, I mean, that's what happens on the days that are headaches start to finish. And that's pretty much what this one was. One last hand of the day. I mean, this is when you know things are going to go bad. Like, I wasn't down anything significant at this point, but I have Jack 9 off in the big blinds. We go 4 ways in a limped pot. And it comes Queen 8-8 rainbow. We all check. And it turns an ace. And we check. And the fish I mentioned before, who double check raised me, he bets 15 into 20, folds to me, and with my gut shot and the big blind, so I can have a million different 8x hands, I check raise to 65, expecting him to call, and he did. The river is a 6. I do pretty much a pot size bet, a slight overbet actually, a little bit of an overbet. I bet 180, and he shows up with a raise. So, okay, I fold. It appears pretty apparent that this guy checked an 8 on the flop, and probably has a boat now, not even just an 8. But either way, after that hand, he says, so you didn't have an ace? Yeah, I'm check raising my fucking nuts off on this turn card, Queen 8-8 ace, and then overbetting the river with just an ace. Right. That's what I was doing. It's like you knew. Did you see my hands? Do you have cameras in the card, or do you have a ring on your finger? I mean, do I? And he was serious. He was serious. He didn't even realize what a ridiculous question it was to ask. I mean, okay. This is why poker tilts the fuck out of people. Sometimes you gotta lose to people like this. So, alright. Finally caught up on everything. Finally got through all these hands. I've taken a few days off since my last session, since I got smoked, and I don't know, I just don't feel like going back. But I'll be going back soon. And I'll be bringing more gifts and hands for you guys to hear about later. So, alright. Thanks for listening. See you next time, guys. Like and subscribe to this garbage.